Thanks, and thanks particularly to the homeowners for the very powerful and strong testimony they've given. I think the state is compounding the stress and the trauma for homeowners instead of alleviating it, and I think that is not forgivable. I think if there's any one takeaway we have to take from this, all of us, it should be that we need to listen to the homeowners who have been living through this. So I just want to ask about that in terms of the IS 465 and foundations. Just on the foundations, we were told if they see a problem with the foundations, it will be addressed. But what if the problem with the foundations isn't seen? It's not going to be addressed. And just to take the analogy, I mean, we wouldn't dream of if a house was on fire and had been burnt down, and we'd any question of the embers from it not being put out, or there being a risk of the fire re-spreading. There'd be no question of rebuilding the fire until you were certain about the safety of that. So why are we in a situation where there isn't a certainty on that?
I'd love to see the scheme start, and I'd love to get at it. And I said earlier, and I stand by it, if my company are involved in that, we will be checking the foundations. And if there's a problem, I believe they will be sorted. But that's my professional opinion. And it's my understanding of how the housing agency are looking at the scheme. So I would love to see it start. I was involved very briefly at the very start of pyrite remediation. And there were terrible fears all across, the North County Dublin, where once houses started being remediated, confidence started coming with the scheme. I just feel the fact that it's not let move forward is compounding people's worries. And encourage NSAI, get to the end of the science. I'm an engineer, I'm not going to ignore that the blocks are going to be tested. This isn't guesswork. My understanding of the scheme is that the housing agency appointed engineer who will be paid by the housing agency. So to Martina, I think that the previous scheme where the homeowner was funding the engineers, and if it was costing 18 grand, I wouldn't mind being one of those. But my understanding now is that the homeowner will fund the initial building report, which is estimated to be €500 or €600, and then the heavy lifting will be carried out by the housing agency appointed engineer from a panel of engineers. So that cost has transferred, and as a professional engineer, if my company are involved in that, we will be checking foundations.
Thanks.
We won't certify.
Do any of the homeowners want to respond?
Could I just respond to that?
Yeah, I'd like to jump in if possible. So just in relation to the 18K, the 18K is associated with the rebuilding of your house. It's nothing got to do with the actual testing, which was 7K at the start. Just in relation to getting the scheme up and running and trying to get people moving, the only people that can physically move forward now is those that has additional finance available. Those that are actually in the position to put themselves into debt, and those that are going to dip into their savings. They are the only people that is able to move forward. Nobody else is not. Everybody else is timeline bound. And the big concern in relation to the new scheme from a homeowner's perspective is this constant knee-jerk reaction of, we can't approve you, so we're going to reject you. And it's not anything in relation to, well, let's sit down, let's look at your documents, let's see how we can help you, let's see how we can support you. This scheme is built to say no, and then you can appeal. How is that going to enable a scheme to grow and evolve when there's a constant door being shut on homeowners?
Ms. Hogan, you wanted to add to that, did you?
Just
as briefly as you can, please.
I will, yeah, a quick response with regard to the issue of foundations. The first thing is, when you say you're going to look at foundations, how are foundations going to be looked at? I'm informed that it's going to be a visual inspection. We know from the science and the core samples that have to be taken, you cannot visually inspect something to know whether it's so we have to follow the science. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, it is impossible to say, get the scheme up and running. you are potentially driving people into years and years of anxiety because you're not addressing the root cause. You cannot ask people to build on something that may or may not be fit for purpose. It is just untenable. And homeowners are living in fear that they will go ahead, they'll get into debt, and years from now, they're going to be catapulted right back into where we are now. It is inhuman, and the government has to recognise that, and a way more precautionary approach has to be taken.
The untested foundation, that's the
Yeah,
okay.
But at the moment, nobody knows. Nobody knows, because we don't have the science. Nobody knows whether the foundations would be fit for purpose or not. But what we do know is, from the science that relates to internal sulfate attack, is that oxidation, that internal sulfate attack, can degrade even poured concrete. So it's not. You cannot eliminate that as being a possibility.
Okay. Thanks, Ms. Owen. I'm going to go to the final slot.